Hello again, Food Braggers family. Welcome again to another delicious episode. Because this episode, I am going to wow you once again with a delicious meal. I hope you're all doing okay. And I do hope that you have tried out some of the recipes that I have already uploaded up there for you. If you have, remember when you make it, test it, and it's delicious, you earn the right to brag about it. That is why this is Food Braggers Network. So let's get started today and let me show you what I will be making and what I'll be having for dinner. These are coconuts. So I have two different stages of coconut here. Coconut could come in so many different stages. Actually, in West Africa, specifically Nigeria, coconut tree is one of the cash trees that is available in Nigeria. And so you could eat coconut when it is just the baby and then it's so soft and juicy and tender, or you could have it when it is semi matured or fully matured. But for this particular recipe, I'm going to use the fully matured coconut because it produces real sappy sweet milk, which is going to be used for this recipe. I'm going to be making coconut rice. If you have heard of that before, hey. If not, then welcome to a new recipe that you could add to your table and wow yourself, your friends, or your family whenever you so choose. So this is when the coconut is in shell. It is still in the shell here. It has an outer covering that has already been taken out. So this, and how do you actually know which coconut is hard enough and ready for you to use for coconut rice? I really cannot tell you, to be honest. But what I do when I go to the grocery store is when I pick up the dry coconuts, which is what this is actually called because they're very matured and they've been allowed to dry a little bit, I shake it. If I could still hear water bouncing around and hitting between the walls of this coconut, then I consider it still fresh and good. But otherwise, if there's no water when I shake it, I do not buy it. It has helped me. If there are other ways you could tell when the coconut is good enough for us to buy, please drop in the comment because I definitely want to learn that as well. However, my method has worked so far for me. So that is that. But now, we do not use the coconut as it is in the shell. What we do, we have to get it off the shell to be able to use it. And also, if you know a better method of getting that coconut off that shell, please let me know, because what I do is I put it outside, and that's why I couldn't show you this because it's dramatic trying to get this out of the shell. So I take it out and I put it on my steps. I use a hammer to really pound on it and then crack it open, take out the water. Of course, I don't waste the coconut water because I have to drink it. And hey, I have to drink some here. Delicious. Do not waste that coconut water at all. So make sure you always have a bowl ready to just goosh, grab it as soon as you open up that coconut. So having done that, now I was able to get the coconut out. So this is what it looks like out of the shell. And then you may not be lucky to get it out as a whole, even if it's, you have to practically dig some out using a knife, which is what I did with these other ones. Like I said, it's very dramatic and I didn't want to show you that. I apologize. But however, so I have the coconut there. I'm going to grate this and I'm show you very soon. And then of course, I will be adding, here I'm making the meat lovers coconut rice. You could choose to make it complete vegetarian, or you could use seafood. Whatever your preference is, that is what you're going to do. So here I have beef, which I have chopped to tiny bits. You chop it to whatever size you want. I do have garlic, which I have also diced to tiny bits. And I do have the red or purple onions. I have also diced that to size. So I have 6 cloves of garlic, and then I have 1 whole large onion. It all depends. You can put as much as you want. This recipe, you can make it your own, and also depending on the quantity that you'll be preparing. And of course, I'll be using long grain rice. So I have here 1.5 cup of long grain rice, which I'm going to use. I will use some fresh tomatoes. I'm going to put 2 fresh tomatoes. And here I have here my red bell pepper. And of course my meals will not be complete without my chili pepper. Oh, I love spices. So I will be using chili pepper, and I have quite a bunch of those to my taste. Optional, make it your own. And then of course I'm going to use canola oil. You can also use any kind of oil of your choice. I'll season it more with more spices. Dry basil, you can use a fresh one, and thyme leaves, fresh one as well, will be can be used if you have that. And then of course I'm going to add a little bit of yellow mustard seed. It gives it that flavor that I really like. So having shown you what I am going to use, I am going to get started. The first thing I'm going to do is to grate this into its powdery form. That will make it easy for me to use. So we'll get started and I will show you how to do it. So this is my grater that I'm going to use to grate the coconut. I'm going to use the very fine side of it, and then I will get this into its nice small form that I like. Okay, food braggers, I have nicely grated my coconut into real fine powdery form, as you can see. Once again, the very fine side of the grater. The grater is made up of different sizes. Some people may use this, but I'll tell you why I prefer the very small side, because I want this very granulated and not just in big chunks. But you have to be very careful not to stick your finger into the food, because I sometimes do. And so that is it. Be careful when you're using that. So having finished with that, I'm going to go on to the next ingredient that we're going to use for this recipe. So I am going to blend my tomatoes, my pepper, and my bell pepper. So the red pepper, the tomato, and the bell pepper, I'm going to process that now. So I cut that to make it blend fast. Throw in my pepper, and then I'm going to just cut in my bell pepper as well. So I take out the seed. I'm not including that, although sometimes I do. It doesn't matter. If it needs water, I'm going to go ahead, I'll put a little bit of it, but first I'm going to try to see if I can blend without water. If it does need water, then I'll add a little bit to it. So now I have nicely pureed my tomatoes and pepper. I'm going to step in to start the real cooking process. Come with me. Okay, food braggers, so here I have a pot of, I'm going to turn on the heat to medium high. And what I will do then is I'm going to pour in some oil. I do have some that I already poured into a pot here, so I'm going to use that. So here I have 1.5 cup of rice, so I'm going to use about half a cup of oil. So I'm going to allow that oil to heat up before I start putting in anything. So food braggers, let's see if the oil is warm enough for me to start seasoning. I'll start with a little bit of salt. Salt is to taste. And then I'm going to toss in some onions. So I'll put in some onions and some garlic. It did not sizzle, so that means it's not hot enough. So I'm going to wait a little bit and allow it to heat up some more. So now I think it's hot enough, so I'm going to toss in the onions and the garlic. I can hear it sizzling. So I'm going to stir that in. And now I'm going to add some more seasoning. I'm going to add some of the basil powder. About 1 teaspoon will be good enough for this recipe. I'm going to add equal amount of thyme leaves. Stir that in nicely. And then I'm going to toss in my beef. I'm going to allow that to cook for about 5 minutes. So food bloggers, the meat is still steaming up here. I'm going to stir it. So there it is, the meat has been cooking down for 5 minutes high heat. I'm going to reduce the heat and add other ingredients to it. Now I'm going to add a cup of water. How much water you add depends on the kind of rice you are cooking. You have to know the kind of rice that you are making and how much water you need for your rice to be ready. That is what. And then you can always start little if you do not know, and then as time goes on you taste the rice, the texture of the rice. If it is soft enough for your own comfort, then you let it be. But otherwise, if it dries up and it is not yet soft, add a little bit more water until you get the consistency that you need. So now remember when I said I had to make this and coconut into real fine powder. Normally coconut rice, if you look at other recipes, they will have to soak that coconut, squeeze out the milk out of it, and toss the chaff or the shaft, or however it is pronounced or called. They throw that out and it's not part of the meal. But I am going to make this food bloggers way. I am not going to waste any part of the coconut, so I'm going to use every bit of it. So after adding water, I'm going to toss in the shredded coconut. Everything goes into the pot. So I did toss in the coconut. Now I'm going to toss in the tomatoes. I will bring the camera close so we can see what it looks like. And now I'm going to add just a little bit of the mustard seed. About a 1/4 teaspoon of the mustard seed. So this is what everything looks like here. I haven't added the rice yet. This is the tomatoes, all the other ingredients, the grated coconut with all the spices, everything is there with the beef. So now I'm going to add the rice to this. I'm going to stir in everything nicely, and I'm going to allow that to cook at medium heat. And I'll be checking from time to time to make sure that the rice is tender. And if it is still hard, once the water had dried up, I'm going to add a little bit more water. But otherwise, then it will be ready. But I will take us through the journey as I make it. So guys, from time to time, just stir in to make sure that it is not sticking to the bottom of the pot. You do not want it to stick. You do not want it to get burned. So simply just give it a little swirl while it is still cooking until the water dries up. Like I said, you want to check the consistency of the rice as well. When the water starts getting dry, make sure it is soft enough to your comfort. So food bloggers, this has been cooking for the past 15 minutes, and I have had to stir it from time to time to make sure that it does not stick to the pot, nor become or get burnt, because that will happen very easily with mixed rice. So now I'm going to see if the texture of my rice is good enough for what I want. If it is tender enough for me, then I'm going to turn off the stove. Absolutely, it is just perfect after 15 minutes with this long grain rice. Like I said, it's up to you to know the kind of rice that you are using and how much quantity of water you're going to need to be able to soften it or to get it to the texture that you so desire. So now I'm going to turn off my stove, and I know it's going to still cook even after the stove is turned off, because you know it's still going to be hot, so it will become softer. But now I'm going to scoop some so that we can dive in and have the verdict as usual for this recipe. Okay, the moment of truth. It is still very hot, but I will dive in and give us the verdict. This is a recipe to really go for. Oh, the flavor from that coconut, you could actually really taste it. But guys, one thing I forgot to say, always make sure that your coconut is sweet and dry. So once you've broken it, test it. If it's sweet, if it's dry, that will make a very good one for this recipe. So if you like this recipe, food bloggers, please give it a like, comment, share. And if you are not yet a part of the Food Bloggers Family Network, please subscribe and touch the notification button so that you become one of the first to be notified once I have uploaded new videos. And I want you to please help me grow my channel. Thank you.